The 80-20 rule. Cut the bull, keep the power. If 80% of your results come from 20% of your effort, then the other 80% is just noise, and it's killing your momentum. Let's be real. You're drowning in busy work while starving for real results. Do you find yourself constantly working but rarely feeling accomplished? Do you have endless to-do lists but struggle to point to meaningful progress? Do you feel like you're running on a treadmill? Lots of motion, zero movement? Here's what no one tells you. Most of what you're doing is just sophisticated procrastination disguised as productivity. The Pareto Principle, the 80-20 rule, isn't self-help fluff. It's how top performers stop wasting time on activities that don't move the needle and start focusing on what actually creates results. Today, we're teaching you how to identify your high-impact 20% and ruthlessly eliminate the low-value 80%. That's stealing your time, energy, and sanity. We're covering 5 game changers. First, understanding the 80-20 rule without the fluff. Second, how to identify your crucial 20% fast. Third, learning to drop dead weight without guilt. Fourth, why less effort creates more leverage. And fifth, how to build a high-impact life that reflects your actual goals instead of everyone else's noise. 1. The 80-20 rule, no fluff. How top performers stop wasting time. Here's the foundation. The Pareto Principle states that roughly 80% of your results come from 20% of your efforts. This isn't motivational theory, it's mathematical reality that shows up everywhere once you know how to look for it. In business, 80% of profits typically come from 20% of customers. In your wardrobe, you probably wear 20% of your clothes 80% of the time. In your relationships, 20% of your friends likely provide 80% of your joy and support. In your daily tasks, 20% of your activities create 80% of your progress toward your goals. The problem is that most people treat all activities as equally important. They give the same attention to high-impact work as they give to busy work. They spend as much energy on trivial tasks as they do on crucial ones. They're democratic with their time when they should be dictatorial. Top performers understand that not all efforts are created equal. They've learned to identify the few activities that create disproportionate results and focus obsessively on those activities. They don't try to do everything well. They try to do the right things exceptionally well. This isn't about working harder or doing more. It's about working smarter by doing less of what doesn't matter so you can do more of what does. It's about being strategic with your energy instead of just being busy with your time. The 80-20 rule forces you to confront an uncomfortable truth. Most of what you're doing isn't actually helping you reach your goals. It's just making you feel productive while keeping you stuck in the same place. 2. Find your 20%. Audit your work, habits, and relationships fast. Time to get surgical about identifying what actually creates results in your life versus what just keeps you busy. This requires brutal honesty and the willingness to admit that some of your daily activities are essentially worthless. Start with your work. Look at your tasks from the past month. Which activities directly contributed to your income, advancement, or professional development? Which ones were just administrative busy work that could have been automated, delegated, or eliminated entirely? Most people discover that they spend 80% of their time on activities that create 20% of their value. Audit your habits. Which daily routines actually improve your health, relationships, or personal growth? Which ones are just comfortable time fillers that make you feel like you're being productive? Exercise, reading, and meaningful conversations probably belong in your 20%. Mindless scrolling, gossiping, and excessive news consumption probably belong in your 80%. Examine your relationships. Which people in your life energize you, challenge you to grow, and support your goals? Which ones drain your energy, encourage your worst habits, and keep you stuck in old patterns? This isn't about being cruel. It's about being honest about who adds value to your life versus who subtracts from it. Review your commitments. Which obligations align with your actual values and goals? Which ones are you keeping out of guilt, habit, or fear of disappointing people? The commitments in your 20% should feel meaningful and energizing. The ones in your 80% probably feel like obligations you wish you could escape. Tim Ferriss built an empire by applying the 80-20 rule and asking, "What if I did the opposite for 48 hours?" He questioned every assumption about how work should be done and eliminated everything that didn't directly contribute to results. The rule works if you're gutsy enough to actually use it. 3. Drop the dead weight. Cut, automate, or delegate the 80%. Here's where most people get stuck. They identify their low-value activities, but keep doing them anyway because they feel important or because they're afraid of what might happen if they stop. But here's the truth. That important task is probably just a distraction from what actually matters. Learn to cut, automate, or delegate the 80% that drains you but changes nothing. Cutting means eliminating activities entirely. Stop attending meetings that don't require your input. Stop saying yes to commitments that don't align with your goals. Stop engaging in conversations that go nowhere. Automating means setting up systems that handle routine tasks without your ongoing involvement. Use technology to manage recurring payments, schedule social media posts, or filter your email. Create templates for common responses. Build processes that run without your constant attention. Delegating means giving tasks to other people who can do them better or as faster or at a lower opportunity cost than you. This doesn't just apply to work. You can delegate household tasks, administrative work, or routine errands that eat up your time without adding value to your life. The resistance you feel about eliminating low-value activities is often just fear disguised as responsibility. You think you need to do everything personally, but most of what you're doing could be done by someone else or not done at all without any meaningful consequence. Start small, but start immediately. Pick one activity that takes up significant time but creates minimal value and eliminate it this week. Notice that the world doesn't end. Notice that nothing important falls apart. Use that evidence to build confidence for eliminating bigger time wasters. 4. Less equals leverage. Freeing up time isn't laziness. Let's address the guilt that comes with doing less. Freeing up your time isn't laziness. It's strategy. It's how you buy back your sanity, energy, and power to focus on what actually matters. Less busy work means more capacity for meaningful work. When you eliminate low-value activities, you don't just save time. You save mental energy. Every decision you don't have to make, every task you don't have to complete, every obligation you don't have to fulfill, frees up cognitive resources for more important thinking. Leverage means getting more output from less input. It means working on activities that create compound returns rather than linear returns. It means focusing on what you're uniquely good at rather than trying to be mediocre at everything. The goal isn't to become lazy or disengaged. The goal is to become selective about where you invest your finite energy so you can create maximum impact with minimum effort. This requires saying no to good opportunities so you can say yes to great ones. Most people are afraid that doing less will make them less valuable, but the opposite is true. When you focus exclusively on high-impact activities, you become more valuable because you're producing better results with greater consistency. Quality always beats quantity in the long run. Think of energy as currency. Right now, you're spending your energy currency on 1,000 small purchases that add up to nothing meaningful. The 80-20 rule teaches you to make fewer, larger investments that compound over time. 5. Build a high-impact life. Make your calendar reflect your goals. Your calendar should reflect your actual goals, not everyone else's noise. Right now, if someone looked at how you spend your time, would they be able to identify what you claim to value most? Or would they see a scattered mess of reactive commitments and low-priority tasks? Efficiency isn't just about productivity, it's about self-respect. When you use the 80-20 rule to organize your life, you're showing respect for your own time, the energy, and goals. You're refusing to let other people's urgencies become your priorities. Start by blocking time for your 20% activities before you schedule anything else. If exercise is in your crucial 20%, it gets scheduled first. If deep work is essential to your success, it gets protected time. If relationships matter to your well-being, they get intentional attention. Learn to say no to requests that fall outside your 20%. That's not in my area of focus right now. Is a complete sentence. I'm not the right person for that is a valid response. I can't take that on doesn't require justification. Build systems that protect your high-impact time from low-impact interruptions. Turn off non-essential notifications. Set boundaries around when you're available for non-urgent communication. Create barriers that make it harder for other people to hijack your attention with their priorities. The 80-20 rule applied to life design means being ruthless about protecting the activities that create the most meaning, growth, and satisfaction, while minimizing time spent on everything else. It means building a life that feels intentional rather than accidental. All right, here comes tough love. You're not tired because you're doing too much. You're tired because you're doing too much that doesn't matter. You've convinced yourself that being busy makes you important, but being busy just makes you scattered. You think that saying yes to everything makes you helpful, but it just makes you ineffective. You believe that doing more shows commitment, but it actually shows a lack of strategic thinking. Stop hiding behind activity and start focusing on impact. Stop confusing motion with progress. Stop treating your time like it's unlimited and your energy like it's renewable. You know what your 20% is. Deep down, you know which activities move you forward and which ones keep you stuck. You know which relationships energize you and which ones drain you. You know which commitments align with your goals and which ones are just habits you're afraid to break. The problem isn't that you don't know what matters. The problem is that you're afraid to act on what you know because it means disappointing people, changing routines, and admitting that you've been wasting time on things that don't actually matter. But your life is too valuable to spend it on activities that don't create the results you want. Your time is too precious to waste on commitments that don't align with your values. Your energy is too finite to squander on relationships that don't add value to your existence. Now here's your challenge for today. Today, not next week, not when you feel ready. Cut one thing from your to-do list. That's just filler. Identify one activity that takes up significant time but creates minimal value and eliminate it completely. Then triple down on one thing that actually creates results. One activity that moves you closer to your goals, one relationship that energizes you, one commitment that aligns with your values. Do less, win more. Let the 80-20 rule transform your life from scattered to strategic. If this video reminded you that not all activities are created equal, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. We're building a community of people who choose strategic focus over scattered busyness. Share this with someone who's drowning in their to-do list while starving for real progress. Sometimes we all need a reminder that the path to more is through less. Remember, you're not broken. You're untrained in the art of strategic elimination. And the skills of identifying high-impact activities and ruthlessly protecting them can be developed starting with your next decision about where to invest your time. Until next time, stop being busy and start being effective.